Welcome to our fourth and last video in the series of our discussions of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and its interface with agriculture and rural development. This is Tim Beltigena. In our previous video, we introduced the traditional economic theory that is used to analyze the effects of trade integration on member countries. From the theoretical background and a brief synopsis of the comparative advantages of African countries, it was very clear that African countries are not natural trading partners. According to the statistics provided by the World Trade Organization, almost all African countries import manufactured goods and export primary commodities to other continents. So, what is the point of establishing a free trade area among countries that produce similar commodities? Who will trade with who? A deeper economic rationale for intra-industry trade is provided by contemporary development economics through what is called the New Trade Theory. According to the New Trade Theory, the rationale behind intra-industry trade is not for nations to compete according to their export comparative advantage patterns, but rather to complement their comparative advantages through specialization of tasks. This means that even though most African countries show comparative advantage in the export of aggregate primary goods, the diversity within the broad category of primary goods is enough basis for gains in intra-Africa trade. In this dynamic analysis, the free trade area functions as one large economic unit, efficiently allocating resources within itself, whilst enhancing its trading position on the global market. With a combined gross domestic product of $3.4 trillion, the economic base of the African Continental Free Trade Area can function in unison to support economies of scale and scope of African industries, as well as increase competitiveness, diversification, and value addition around strategic commodities. But how do these anticipated dynamics benefit African countries? Well, let's boil it down to a case study of a typical African country. Let's take Malawi, a small country in Central Africa. The bulk of Malawi's trade commodities are agricultural items produced primarily by its large number of smallholder farmers. In Africa's state of economic fragmentation, within the Malawi national borders, the smallholder farmer is battered with numerous impediments that limit his participation in cross-border trade. These include a lack of affordable inputs, low output prices, poor infrastructure, lack of market information, and burdensome border procedures. It is no wonder that, despite being a predominantly agricultural economy, Africa accounts for only 4% of world agricultural trade. Now, how about when the borders are brought down and there is free movement of goods and services between Malawi and its African neighbors? Africa becomes one large economy made of specialized producers of the many subcategories of its agricultural commodities. By reducing duty charges on agricultural imports and simplifying border procedures, the African Continental Free Trade Area will significantly reduce the cost of doing business across member countries, and this will give agricultural producers a diversified market for sourcing inputs and selling their produce. By harmonizing trade standards and expanding potential market outreach, the initiative will enable the development of regional value chains and stimulate value addition and agro-processing. By allowing free movement of goods and people, the agreement will facilitate access to new technology and commerce that can enhance smallholder productivity. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, these enabling features of the African Continental Free Trade Area could increase agricultural trade among African nations by 33%, raking in incomes of up to $16.1 billion by 2040. Of course, the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area is likely to encounter some challenges. For example, weak infrastructure, low technological update, and cross-country conflicts. But the bigger challenge of increasing smallholder participation lies in three key policy options: diversification, technology, and private sector development. In addition to encouraging smallholder participation in the African Continental Free Trade Area, the key approaches to maximizing the benefits in the agreement lie in integrating regional value streams, incorporating them in the value chains of major private sector players, and most importantly, setting stringent measures to prevent infiltration of non-African corporations in the African food systems. So there you have it, the African Continental Free Trade Area, Africa's major step towards economic integration, and perhaps the biggest opportunity for the continent's agriculture and rural development.